Hello, this is just a short little video to take you through some of the concepts that we are going to focus on within the modeling software. A lot of these concepts are the same throughout a variety of modeling software, but for today we're going to be starting off with SketchUp. I'm going to work through a number of concepts like layers, components, different views, different materials, and how to save some images. Okay, so let's start SketchUp. Let's just start using it. Let's delete that gentleman. Okay, SketchUp is a fairly simple, straightforward piece of software, and we're going to look at how we can bring a place in and start to model that place. So first of all, we will go to File, Geolocate, Add Location. I am going to do Aotearoa Square. And there it is. So let's just make this a little bit bigger so we can see where we are. Let's perhaps do that there so we've got a bit of context for the square. Select region. Let's get as much of that as we can. We grabbed. Okay, and if we've got a series of commands up here at the top, we'll use this one, and that will allow me to start to rotate around. I can use the ball of the mouse to zoom in and out. So this is the location that we've chosen, and what we'll do is we'll start building this building here. Sort of an interesting shaped building, so we'll start building that. First thing that we're going to do is go to Window and open up our layers layer. We can see we've got a number of layers already here because of what we've brought in. So there is our image, which is the Google Earth snapshot. We turn it off, it turns off, and if we click that again, it becomes visible. We can turn on the Google Earth terrain, which is the actual terrain that's in that area. But for now, we'll just work with this Google Earth snapshot. Okay, we're going to add a new layer, and I'm going to call it Building. Building 1. I'm going to select that layer because that's the one I'd like to work on. So by selecting that little checkbox, we're now going to work on this layer. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to click the little hand and we can pan around. Click that, we can orbit again. These are just different techniques for viewing it. Alright, I'm going to start creating an outline. So if we start here, and we start by creating an outline of this bit of the building. Okay, and then we'll do the next bit. Take it from there to there, and then let's just see, put another bit there. Let's just go to there. And we're just working our way around a bit of the building. There's another bit, and then we've got a final piece of it down here. We just move down somewhere around there, I would say, and then we can just start. And I want to do it parallel to this edge, so let me just linger on that edge, and then as I go over here, it's now purple and it's in parallel to edge, so it's going parallel to that. And let's do that again. Linger on the edge, it'll go parallel to the edge. And just working around. Quite crudely. You can be as accurate, or as we're just being quite crude here. You'd obviously want to be a little bit more accurate whenever you do this. Right, okay, we'd like to go parallel to that edge. So there we go again. Just trying to be as, again, let's try and go parallel to that edge. And then here, and finally to there. So there's our sort of three levels. And what we can do now is we can extrude those levels. So let's just change our position. Let's come around there. And we have a what isn't called the push-pull tool. I can click on that, pull that out. Click on this bit, pull that bit out. Click on that bit, pull that bit out. And just play around with it. I don't want to do that. You can see that it works on all surfaces. I can do it that way as well if I want, but we don't want to. So there's just the start, quite simply the start of how one can start to layer up a building using those simple tools. And also, if I go back to layer 0, I can turn that layer of the building on and off. Alright, so by layering things up quite accurately, we can start to create some very basic context for ourselves. Alright, well here's another building. Let's just work our way around. Well, let's just do the square bit first of all. Endpoint. There we go. There. And what we can do is we can extrude that as well. And then we've got the other piece made of the shapes. So we start drawing. Let's draw an arc. The repoint arc. And we can start there and go to the end point and go into. It's just on it, so it's not the end point. So if you zoom in, we can go from there to there and then on to there. And we can draw another arc from there to there. And we'll start over there somewhere, so it starts there and we can go to somewhere there and then on to there. So then we've got that piece of it as well. And once again, we can extrude that up as we want, starting to give ourselves that basic shape. So you can see we've already started to get very simple, straightforward context around here. Okay, other concepts that we have that are at our disposal. Now all this has been put on layer 0 and I'd like to change it, so let me just add in building 2. And what we're going to do, let's just zoom out a little bit and let's just rotate that up, and we'll aim to select everything over here by drawing a rectangle around it. Right click, entity info, and we want to change that to building 2. And we can always confirm that we've got that right by turning it off, and we can see everything turns off. So there, even whenever we build something, we can change what appears on certain layers at certain times. Okay, there are other things that we have at our disposal here while we're in this view. If we go up to the view tool, there are a number of things that we can do. We can turn on shadows. And now we can see we've got some shadows that are around here. We go up to window and down to shadows, we have a little time slider that we can start to change the time of day, and we start to get accurate shadows from that time of day. Also, we've got fog, which just returns the fog on and off. But we've also got a little bit of control over the edge style. We've got edges and we've got back edges and profiles, and we can select some of these things or deselect them depending on what we're after. So there's a number of different things that we can do there. We can also turn on an X-ray, so we get a sort of a shaded view of the things if we need to see beyond the actual surface that we're wanting to do. So let's turn that off. Okay, let's move on with some other things that are available to us. We can start to insert some components. If we go up to Window, and down to Components, it's not necessary, if we want to put in these trees, it's not necessary to make the trees. We can do a search for tree in our Components window. And there's a tree, and it will download the tree, and we can, oh dear, that's looking a little bit small, so let's make that bigger. Again, we have a tool at our disposal for that. If we hover our mouse over that tool, we'll see it say Scale. If I click it, I can click on the diagonal corners and I can scale that up to what I think is a reasonable size for a tree. And we can move it using another tool. Zero around about there. I think that's maybe about it. And if I like that, I can select it, I can copy it using Control C. Just some edit things, I can go copy, and these commands paste. And there's our tree, and I can pop that back there. And I can do that again. Just try and pop it into the right place. And let's just turn around to make sure we're getting those right. Yep, those seem to be coming in right. And more. There. Alright, so we have these set components which are very useful. One must be careful without overusing them. It can be very tempting to use a lot of these things, but that can end up in your design looking very generic. Okay, but they are a very useful component to have. You get lots of things in there that you can search for. All right, other things that we can do. Materials. There are materials available to us that we can start to add to. If we take a look at this little piece of the square here, that's some different materials. We can add a layer to square, make that our active square, and we can, if we just very quickly and crudely it seems to be struggling there for some reason, so let's go back and we'll just do that again, starting over here. That seems to be wanting to snap. What we'll do is we'll just move that up and do a very rough approximation of this. What we can do is if we hold down the Shift key, it'll lock it in that direction. And what we can do is we can go to this endpoint, lock it, and hopefully what we've got there is a surface that we can rise up just a little bit. There we go. We can also add a few more lines to this. Going parallel to the surface. Parallel. Holding down the Shift key, making sure we're going parallel. Then there is also quite a useful little command up here in the form of Tools Offset, where we can select a surface and we could offset it a little bit. And if we double click, it'll copy it. So now we've got those three sections. What I can do is I can go to my Windows, go to Materials, and we're in wood here. I'd like to go for vegetation. Perhaps send a nice piece of vegetation. And what we can do is we can just paste that in there. It doesn't look terribly nice. Grass one, that might be better. There, do it again. There we go. I'll just change that material. Okay. All right. The only other thing that is that can be quite useful is creating a component. So, for example, we don't have to just use the components that we've got access to. We can create them. So, if let's just do a rectangle shape. Say I do that rectangle shape there, and I can select this. If I right click, I can make this a component. and I will replace the selection with the component, and I will call it just my window. Create. Okay, and I've created my own component. All right, there it is. And what I can do is if I go back to my component window, let's close the materials, I go back to my component window, I can choose to look at the components in the model. Let's go back there. The components in the model, my window. Now I can put that in here alongside it. And if I want to, and of course if it's selected, I can always do my copy, Control C, Control V, and you'll see it is locking itself onto the various surfaces that exist. And let me just put one in a rather unusual place. The power of these components is that if I select this component and now I double click on it, you can see everything is changed except that window that I'm using. It's highlighted because I can now make some changes to it. I can offset it. Like we did with the window, I can offset it. I can go back to my materials palette. I can start translucent, just some simple glass, make that translucent glass. You can see how the one beside it is changing automatically. I can go to push pull and I can just pull that frame out a little bit. And you can see it's changing, and if I press escape, if I click the arrow and just click out of that and everything goes back to the same color, it has changed every single one. And you can see what it's doing here is it's allowing me to look inside the building. That translucency is in all the objects, including this one. We don't want that one there because that's a bit of a strange place for it, so let's just delete it. And there we go. So that is just some of the basic concepts. Materials, how we've got a selection of materials to use, how we can use set components, we can create new components, we can structure it on layers and turn things on and off, and we can also geolocate our model in the building, in the world. Sorry. Okay. All right. Now we are going to be. I've asked you to save some images out. So what I'm going to do is go to File. I'm going to firstly just go Save. I want to save this image or save this file. Let me just save this file on the desktop, and I'm then going to go to File, Export, a 2D graphic, and there's untitled JPEG. Let me just export that, and if I minimize the window on my desktop, we should find an untitled graphic. There's the file. Oh, no, it didn't. All right, well, let's do that again. Let's go File, Export, 2D graphic. Oh, it's done to my documents. All right, well, not. Let me just go to my documents and we'll see it. My computer, documents, untitled, and there's the image. Okay, and that is what we are going to be doing today, exporting a series of images from our SketchUp model, which we'll look at and review. Okay, thank you.